Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Simply Sketchy. Today, I have once more gone over to the dangerous lands of America, found a random American while trekking through the woods, and almost got shot for it. But hey, it was a bonding experience. Hello, Bleach.
Oh, greetings. Well, if you'd stop trespassing onto private land, it's not like Europe where it's like, oh, it's all public space.
It's not my fault. Well, actually, it is, but
Is it though? Is it?
I blame the EU.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was the EU flag that I think really got you
Yeah,
in trouble.
disgusting. Anyway, talking shit about those who deserve shit talking, we can do in a different cast, though I do appreciate all of it. Anyway, right now we are going to discuss another creature from Native American folklore, known as the how do you pronounce the name, Bleach?
It's called the Puckwudgie, which, given your introduction, you should be very happy that you were confronted by a New Englander rather than a Puckwudgie.
Oh, they don't like that kind of stuff.
Well, they're known. They have a reputation of luring people to their demise.
Oh, oh, so they're that kind of folklore creature.
Yes, yes. Although when we get into the lore, it maybe wasn't always that way, but it has become thus.
Well, it depends on who they do it to and of the principles. I mean, if I'm trespassing, the castle doctrine goes for both real and fantasy creatures. Let's put it like that.
True. Yes. Yeah. No. So yeah, I thought this would be an interesting little character study for you to attempt. Mostly because, like, with so many mythological creatures, either people want to make it kind of like, really cutesy or over dramatic for like the shock factor, and I think the truth lays somewhere in between, and the lore is far more interesting than the actual appearance of such a creature.
Well, you have given me, like usual in these shows, I get a little bit of a quick description before we start the show, and honestly, I do like the description. It's as you said, it sounds like a combination of a troll and kind of a Bigfoot / goblin creature.
Yeah. So, and there's actually, and I'd kind of like to get into it when we get towards the end of the discussion. But it's very much like one of the typical little people of North America, where they have some human-ish traits. They're bipeds. They can be mistaken for like human children, things like that. But they're also different enough from humans where they do have that kind of hideous shock value. And unfortunately, so many people just kind of go off and say, oh, well, it should be this or that. And in reality, drawing something like this, there's kind of that middle ground where you kind of actually show what it is and not make it into some kind of meme or trope. So
Yeah.
this should be a lot of fun.
The best kind of creature design, in my opinion, is the one where they actually more try to get closest to the best, if not the most locally recognized myth, at least their favorite version of the myth. In like, instead of saying like, oh, it's a troll, but it's covered in spikes, Not a fan of that.
Right. And yeah, that's actually a good thing to talk about. Its physical description as well. It's often depicted as having like kind of porcupine spines or something like that, where it really seems to follow more along the lines of the Norwegian troll description we discussed.
Yeah.
Where it's stiff, hardened hair rather than like spines.
Yeah, because all the images.
I think that's a really.
Yeah, go on.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, go on.
I think that's just a really cool descriptor because, again, it's something that's so foreign to what we're used to seeing.
Yeah. And it's I kind of like that too because trolls don't have spikes or quills, but they have long, hard hair. Essentially, just it makes you look. It makes them look kind of feral, despite them wearing clothes. You also have the
Yeah.
large nose, stocky bill, large head. So, from what I heard, I'm just gonna go for that. But you also commented that the limbs tend to be like lanky too, so I'm gonna go for that.
Yes, yeah, and they're only about, they're always described as being somewhere around 3 foot to or a meter tall, sometimes a little bit bigger. They're usually, kind of described as looking, size-wise like children, but also very, very far from it when they're encountered in a more close up. However, that's part of their um, lore is not a lot of people live to say they've seen a Puckwudgie.
Yeah, because they're kind of a bunch of tricksters, as you mentioned before, right?
Yes, yes. So do we want to get into the lore or continue with some of the kind of general background?
Oh, we can do a little bit more background, and if it gets a little bit lore into it, we can do that. Though I first need to ask, do they have tusks?
No,
No.
no. They're no tusks, no horns. Um, their hands are described as being more like paws. So maybe think of like the Khajiits from um, Elder Scrolls,
Okay.
the series, where they're like they're kind of paw-like with some digits rather than full human-esque hands.
So instead of a regular hand, it could be more like a hand where the thumb is more like a dew claw than anything else.
Quite possibly, yes.
Hmm.
And I actually think that would be pretty good for a way to describe them.
Oh, I do like that. Do they have like a quiver? You said they have bows. I'm drawing it with a bow because you previously mentioned they are pretty decent at archery, but you also said that they don't have any quivers.
Correct. Yeah, I've never seen it where they're depicted carrying quivers like you see most of the time. And one of one of the things that they're supposed to be able to do are fire either poisoned arrows or arrows that start fires.
Hmm.
And that made me wonder, well, maybe they're shooting these very stiff hairs as their arsenal. So they pluck a hair and fire it rather than actually have arrows.
Yeah, so then I probably should change the arrow to something a bit more hair-like instead.
I really don't know. I mean, that's the problem. Nobody really knows, and they've evolved. Oh, the way of their tellings have evolved a bit, but um, oh, yeah, I think something like that where it's very much an extension of their hair almost.
Yeah. Let's see. There you go. Also, I do like when people hold arrows, they like have they use 2 or 3 fingers on top, and then they use their pinky, the back of their pinky, and their thumb to hold the sable.
Oh yeah, like when they're drawing.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Kind of what I'm aiming for. Let's see.
Or maiming for, depending on what you're aiming at.
Yeah. Well, this guy's having a look at something that he intends to take down. So, I do like these because again, it's like a troll meeting a goblin. But
Yes,
to be
yes.
honest, it looks far more cunning than what you'd expect from a troll. Because they aren't smart, but they're incredibly cunning, and yet this one looks like it could outsmart a troll really easily.
From my understanding of European trolls, definitely the Puckwudgies would win,
Yeah.
hands down.
but I also imagine because my head always spins along those lines. In a fantasy setting where you have Puckwudgies working in tandem with trolls, like you know how
Ooh,
how ravens and wolves work together.
yes.
Imagine a Puckwudgie and a troll just being like these essentially friends.
Uh, I would imagine that the Puckwudgie would let the troll sacrifice itself first.
Oh, definitely. Let's see.
So
I'm guessing feet would probably be similar.
yes, where it's kind of malformed compared to what the human standard is. So
Yeah.
they should be similar, but not entirely
And I'm
to
gonna
to
do
human
one of
features.
these. I'm gonna do one of these where it sort of looks like a animal hind leg as much as possible. You see
Ah,
what I'm aiming for, right?
yeah, yeah.
Hmm. Drawing legs anatomy is kind of a bitch to deal with, but it's fun when you get a hang of it, at least. There, that should do it.
Oh, he's shaping up quite nicely.
Yeah, I do enjoy doing this. And since they don't do much clothing, it's gonna be more single loincloth covering the bits, and then as I get to more line art, I'm gonna start adding more of the whole fur parts, because he, again, as you said, like a small troll mixed with a Sasquatch, right?
Yeah, yeah. As far as like body shaped, as long as you've got, and you do that kind of pot belly nature about them.
Yep. No. Honestly, I do like this. I do like this look. It's pretty decent. Let's see. Would you say nails or claws?
Uh, I would say more nails.
Yeah. Long nails. Which nails, kinda?
Actually, just kind of like really rough. Yeah, because they're never really described as like clawing at people or anything like that, but they just don't have human style hands.
Right. They're the missing link.
Yeah, between humans and trolls.
Yeah, pretty much. How do you think I was born? Heyo.
Hey.
Let's see. So, you said there is some general background and lore. How about we
Yes.
dive into
So,
that?
well, the Puckwudgie is primary. Its primary origins are in the Wampanoag cultures. So that's like where Massachusetts and New England and a lot of that region is where they're said to have lived among, especially among the Wampanoag.
Right. Uh, because of the name, I have to ask: is that the same region as the Wampus Cat?
No, actually, they're very very separate.
Okay.
So the Wampus Cat is more of a bit of Cherokee lore,
Right.
and so they're considered a. Oh gosh, going to have to put a dramatic pause in here, Bezit. So you've got.
That's dramatic music, Besek.
um. Oh, it's not Algonquin. Great. I had to bring up the Cherokee, and I can't remember where their tribe is considered to be from. This will drive me nuts, and I want accuracy for the podcast or episode.
Appreciate that.
All right.
Gives me time to just fill in the details here, because, again, really good description, and honestly, it's kind of interesting. Just trying to imagine this, and as for styles of drawing, I'm just gonna go on a little bit of a tangent, bit of a side tangent while you're doing your research.
Mhm.
A lot of my art style can be very much traced back to the old French comics, like Asterix and Obelix. Anyone who's
Oh
watched that?
yes, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is, and I know it's just called Asterix, but I have always called it Asterix and Obelix because I like both equally as much. I was really big on just being very specific. But yeah, so that's why the whole large gnosis, the hair, as you see how the beard forms here.
Yes,
So
that is very asterisk-esque.
yes, Asterix X. Man, I like the X's there.
Yeah, it's the French. What do you expect?
They're big on when it comes to X's, eh?
Oh, of course.
Wee wee.
All right, so I've got it. So,
Hell yeah.
yeah, the Wampus Cat is more of a Iroquoian legend. That's the language group that the Cherokee belong to.
All
So
right.
there's like some ethnic. Yeah, basically, it's kind of like the early Germanic tribes, like the Huns and whatnot.
Really?
As far as like they've got kind of a distinct style of culture and language and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where the Wampanoag, they are a let's see, they're an Algonquin people. So you've got the Iroquoian and the Algonquins, and they go to war often in their histories. One may have driven the other out of certain regions, but I'm not up on that particular pre-Columbian history.
Kind of normal that they did, and from what I heard, like they were Native Americans were hardcore, dude.
Oh yeah, well you hear about the Comanche, and maybe that's a legend. Some legends we could get into with them.
Definitely.
Nobody liked them. No, none of the native tribes. They all feared them, and that was that very much of a okay. Well, they're gone now. We can get back to business as usual.
Are they an extinct tribe or like out?
So,
You could say.
severely reduced in size from what they were. They went against. Well, they fought the Apaches. They're more famous for their so-called death raid in the 1840s, when they just basically rode themselves out on a gigantic raid against Texas and caused all sorts of wild destruction.
Oh, so they knew they were going out, but they were going out with style.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely respect that.
They were definitely a group to be feared and respected in their day.
Well, then I'm good. I'm glad I'm giving him a bit more of a serious look then,
Well,
because
no, that's the Comanche. That's a completely different. The Wampanoag in Massachusetts, they're the ones that are like, we're going to sell this swampy ground to the pilgrims. So
yeah, definitely the trickster works too.
yes, yeah. So looping back around to the Puckwudgie specifically. So you know how in some lores, you get a character and it kind of like evolves how it treats certain populations.
Yes.
So originally, the Puckwudgies and the Wampanoag were friends. They helped each other out, kind of like brownies, I guess, in England.
Yep.
Where it's like you would leave something out for them, and they'd help you around the homestead.
Sort of like the Fjøsnisse from Norwegian folklore. They are essentially like these small. Call them fey beings. I was
Mhm.
speaking with Dave about this earlier. Let's see. Yeah, I think actually the best thing would be to call them brownies. It's essentially a small, very small, short dude with a large white beard. Gnomes, essentially, right?
Ah, yes,
Farmer gnomes.
yeah. They served a very similar role, and then over time, they because of the trickster element, the Puckwudgie started playing tricks that annoyed the Wampanoag, and it started escalating. And so it went from a nice, oh, well, I'll do this for you, you do this for me, to, oh, now we're going to start basically entering into conflict. And because the Puckwudgie is kind of that Fey type creature, yeah, they could disappear into the woods and things like that. So they began to go and like lure people to their deaths. They were supposed to like kidnap children, lure people into not necessarily their death, but to kind of like take them, and use them for their own means.
Yeah. Oh yeah, there's definitely some Fae in that.
Yeah. And eventually, the Wampanoag, and again, this is mostly their lore, came to their I'm trying to remember if he's not quite like a creator being, but he's very much of a mythical hero for the Wampanoag.
Right.
And there's some other variations of like his name, but he's described as being a giant.
Oh.
And he was so big that he ate whales primarily.
One.
Yeah, and so they also describe Malshop as so he created Cape Cod, which is a geographical feature, and the idea was he was throwing these big stones to wash the whales up on shore so he could eat them, and that's why the geography is shaped the way it is there. So yeah, that's a bit of an interesting side story about Malshop. That Malshop decided to teach the Wampanoag how to hunt and fish and build, and basically become civilized. There's more to that background, but eventually, while the Puckwudgies and the Wampanoag started to come into conflict, the Wampanoag went to Malshop and asked that he stop the threat, basically.
Yeah.
So he went to war with the Puckwudgies, and would because they're small, diminutive creatures, they'd swarm him, and then he'd fling them off, and they were said to fly for hundreds of miles, things like that. And eventually, the war ended, and the Puckwudgies killed Malshop. But at the same time, he dispersed the Puckwudgies so they couldn't harass the Wampanoag in the same way.
From tactics win, but it tends to be a Pyrrhic victory.
Yes. Well, they were firing their poisoned arrows into him, so which that's why Malshop disappeared from their creation myths after a while.
Killed him so hard, killed him so dead that he disappeared from their creation myths. That's impressive.
Yeah. But that actually gets into an interesting thing, as we're specifically talking about the Wampanoags and kind of this very small geographical region that they're supposed to dwell in.
Right.
Well, because of this great battle between Malshop and the Puckwudgies, they were flung throughout a lot of the northeast of the United States and into Canada, like Prince Edward Island, places like that. So that's kind of how they explain why the Puckwudgies aren't just in this one area, but they're all over North America, over certain regions of North America.
So suddenly started flying Puckwudgies into Canada, and they got introduced to the concept of. Okay, I'm not gonna go there.
Yeah, forcible relocation.
Yeah, let's go with that. That sounds pretty decent, yeah.
Yeah, so that's that's kind of the story of why the Puckwudgies are spotted everywhere else. And then, of course, that's why they lure human. You know, they now have this very big trickster element where they're hostile to humans in lots of ways. So, yeah, I mean, it's just interesting how they can come up with this explanation for why there's this thing that happens everywhere in a region around them.
I'm gonna do a little bit of. You see what I'm doing, right? I'm gonna do essentially a silhouette drawing, and from behind here, I'm just essentially gonna be waving out the filling out the edges a little bit with another when I do this whole shading. I think I'm doing sweet, so more together. There you go. You'll see when I'm done. At least if it goes according to plan.
Well, and it's interesting. So that's it. So you know the Wampanoag, they're kind of they're an Algonquin people. You know what other famous bit of lore? What other mythical creature comes from Algonquin?
The Wendigo?
It is yes.
Oh wow, that was a shot in the dark.
Yeah.
Wait, seriously?
But that's it comes from the same linguistic peoples.
And when you say linguistic peoples, you mean in a relation to how Norwegian and Swedish is pretty similar, right?
Yes. So it's like the Scandinavian peoples are very similar culturally in some ways, and linguistically, and the Algonquin peoples or the Iroquoian and what have you, all tend to kind of share certain customs and cultures with variations, like how the Norwegians are superior to the Swedes and superior to the Danes and things like that.
Yes, I do appreciate that you recognize that. I mean, it's only natural.
I want to be invited back, okay?
Hey, stay nice to Norway and recognize our superiority over the rest of Scandinavians, and the American continent is all yours.
You're gonna have to fight me and the Puckwudgies to get there anyway.
Exactly. I'm not fighting small goblins who shoot magic poisonous arrows, dude. That's your. You can keep those. I got bad enough at all the trolls.
True.
There's the difference. Well, they're a big pest, at least. You got a bunch of small pests.
Yeah. Well, actually, that actually kind of brings up this interesting thought that has kind of been bouncing around in my head, because we've already compared the Puckwudgie to brownies and to Norwegian trolls.
Yes.
But there's this common thread in many cultures of the little people.
Yes.
And
small, like you have this. I don't remember what they're called in Arabic, but essentially like the small demons, small devils.
Yes. Yeah. Not necessarily like the jinn, but it's very similar. Yes.
Yeah. I don't remember what they're called, but yeah, it's. And also, they're either they're not always malicious, but a lot of them have. If they're not outright malicious, they have the temper to become malicious should you not satisfy them.
Yes.
Because
Um.
a Fjösnisse, or I guess we can call them gnomes for simplicity's sake. The gnomes would essentially treat your house like a racketeering. You give
Mhm.
them sweets and nice things, and they'll treat your house right. But if you don't, they'll slaughter your whole livestock.
Oof.
Oh yeah,
That's rough.
they were not to mess around with.
So, and so yeah, it's fascinating because there's oh, it's like you've got obviously the leprechauns,
Yep.
and then the Fions and like the Normandy, Brittany region of France.
Yeah.
Um,
There's one in Scottish myth too, but I don't quite remember what they're called, unfortunately.
I mean, I hope Bastape just comments on your video
Yeah, that'd be nice.
as he should.
Though also, one thing I thought about, like this is not, of course, small creatures, but I just remember this in terms of like myths and all that. You know Orkney Island, right?
Yeah.
That is a very much a Scandinavian island. The population there is a divide between Norwegian and Scottish,
Hmm.
to the point where they've uh, they've asked if they can join Norway. Oh, but yeah, so it's shit, that was wrong. There you go. Uh, there is this creature, you know, the Knuckly. I think it has more in common with the, oh, come on, what's it called? The Wendigo than it does the
Yeah.
yeah.
Uh, but it really kind of gets into this. Is there something in our lore and in human history, whether it's an actual cryptid or something of a spiritual nature, or something from our genetic past,
I
like a
think
genetic
it might
memory
be.
in all humans?
Like, I first started thinking about it when I saw dragons in every kind of mythology, one way or another. Like, you have the Lindorm from Norse
Norway.
mythology. It is
Yeah.
it is essentially a dragon without wings, vomiting
Hmm.
poison acid instead of fire. And then you have
Yeah.
the giant sky serpents of the Chinese dragons, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then you can kind of get into, okay, now you've got like the Thunderbirds of North America and now Quetzalcoatl down in the Aztec
Yeah.
regions,
Oh, dude, I
where
definitely want to cover the Thunderbirds and like the if you have any Aztec interest in Aztec, I definitely want to go cover those too.
that's not really my big thing, but I could probably delve into it and we can go through that. And then
Or
you've got griffins and all these other just very there's like analogs to all
yes,
of them somewhere.
it is so true. Massive animals as well, like the demon bear we did in the previous Simply Sketchy.
Yes. Yep. And oh gosh, you have the what is it? There's like a bear myth in Russia that I just can't remember what it is.
Uh,
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah, I'll skip that because I can't remember it.
Yeah, but essentially though there are myths about animals in everywhere, and I guess it's sort of goes to some kind of things follow patterns in humanity, right? That's a theory I have. You don't want to get too spiritual about it. Uh, a more analytical way of looking at it is that it is since we're all human and there's a lot of ideas that come back throughout human history, I think that
Mm-hmm.
might be it. It is just visages and ideas that are easily recognizable within our own psyche, like species, psyche as a species. Things are
Yeah.
recognized. You know how a lot of mountains, if in Norway, during the old times, were considered to actually be like a sun frozen. You could say Ettins or Jotnar or even trolls, because a
Mm-hmm.
lot of those mountains have face-like protrusions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there's this one mountain
Huh.
relatively close to me that has this. It has two holes in it sticking out from an edge, so it looks like a nose.
Huh.
Yeah, my grandpa used to tell me that that was a big troll, and he saw it when it froze. He was speaking shit, but God, I always thought it was so cool when I was a kid. Be careful so you don't get too close, because if he smells you, he will come back. Basically, his warning of
Oh.
stay the fuck away from the mountain, you dumb little shit. Because falling to my death didn't really concern me. Now, what concerned me was bringing out a mountain-sized troll to terrorize the town.
Hmm. That's an interesting through line with all of this. Is there's this don't go messing with these things because they will follow you because they
Yes,
will track you down.
yes. As everything that is to do with fae or folklore creature, they are spiteful. Like
Mm-hmm.
incredibly vain and spiteful in so many ways.
Yeah, that's that's interesting. And yeah, well, there's that other through line. The giant in the story is what lore does not have giants at some level.
I don't really think there is one that doesn't have like at least one mountain-sized giant. In Norway, we were obsessed with Titanic-sized creatures. So like the smallest trolls were the size of a really big dude, and the largest troll in like all of Scandinavian history is Ymir. You know the ice giant who became the world after he was brutally killed, of
Oh
course.
wow.
Yeah. We got to do one in Norse
Hmm.
mythology one day, because holy crap, there's a lot of good stuff there.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
But we're currently on the wrong side of the Atlantic for that.
Yeah.
Or are we? Also, if you want to get
Hmm.
a bit spiritual, you could also say that all these creatures have appeared throughout the world.
Yeah. Well, it's like there's just something that ties it all together.
Yeah, that is one of my favorite things in fiction. Like I'm now here comes another if Bessic wants to make an alarm about this, he's free to do so. Here comes another Dresden Files reference.
Wah, wah.
Yeah,
Oh,
but is that
we already have one.
every creature essentially has been in some places of the world. Of course, they have different kind of species depending on where they are. So there's this slight evolution, but they're within the same species, like how there are different kinds of spiders, right? Different kinds of
Mm-hmm.
ants, depending on where in the world you are.
Yeah.
Where in the world you are. And it's kind of like that too in that series. So you have things that are
Hmm.
similar to each other while being different, and yet they all come from like this astral plane. You even have even have the same in Berserk. You know this manga, the black.
No.
It's a dark fantasy manga. It's honestly, if there's one manga I recommend you to read, it's that one. It is so good if you get into it. And it treats astral creatures, or rather fey creatures, to live in an astral plane that sometimes can bleed out into the real world.
Yeah, I can see that. That's actually a very popular theory in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
where some of what people are experiencing, whether it be like a Puckwudgie or a Bigfoot type creature or something like that, where it's very much this bleed through.
Yeah.
And there's like a weakness in the walls of reality kind of thing.
Yes. And I've heard in some theories too that, uh, we probably discussed this sometimes in private. The divine spark.
Mm-hmm.
People say that these creatures are affected by us in their realm because of our divine spark. I don't remember where I heard it from. Hell, I could even just be fantasizing shit I've dreamed up. But I've heard that a lot of these creatures are affected, attracted, or even jealous of us because of just that, which
Well,
I find cool.
that gets into a lot of kind of like Christian reaction to all ghosts are um, demons, even though that's a very basic simplification of pretty much just one sect of Christianity. But there's this idea of demons and evil spirits and whatnot out there in the Christian realm, because I think they spent a lot of time developing it and culled this information from the cultures that they supplanted.
Mm-hmm.
But it gives a fuller understanding where there are these creatures because they were affiliated with Lucifer during the fall that are envious of humanity's special place in kind of the creation of the world.
I'd be jealous too if I was a demon and I saw a human beside me.
Exactly. But, but it's like this is why in part they want to torment us, why they want us to fear them, is because they can get just a little bit of that energy off of us, that kind of philosophical or our time kind of thing, that kind of energy, where it's like, there's got to be something to it, because there is this through line with so many of these bits of legends and lore that are eerily similar.
Yes.
Again, whether it's the Puckwudgie being compared to leprechauns and things like that,
Or like the ghoul and the Wendigo.
Yes, very much so. And
Honestly,
it's like
the only difference is where they are. In some
and the cultural context we assign them. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's the only difference.
But both are cannibals, both are monsters, and both seek your destruction.
Indeed. But at least we've got ways to combat them.
Yes, like the God-given right to bear arms. We have them for a reason, ladies and gentlemen.
Or I would say even the big deal with the giant that went to bat for the Wampanoag and threw the Puckwudgies away.
Yeah. Friends, dude. Always have friends. Especially if they're massive and eat whales for breakfast.
Exactly.
I'm willing to sacrifice whales if I get to keep these spiky rodent people away from me with their poisonous arrows. I can't fight
exactly. that. Not only that, but they also set fire to things with their arrows.
Wow, they've spec. It's like they're playing Shadow of War. They can just magically tap into some kind of super sense and now I fire poison arrows. Now I fire arrows. Yeehaw! They play their game. They play the game of life quite literally like a game. And I'm honestly, I'm really liking these guys so far.
Yeah, you're really doing a heck of a job.
Yeah. Sweet. I'm really enjoying the whole black and white shading thing. It is comfortable, really. Just sit down, relax. So you said you also had like a more personal story from a friend of yours or something?
No. So he's become kind of internet famous. A guy named, I think, Bill Russo.
Right.
Has been making the rounds telling stories about his encounter with a Puckwudgie. And I would encourage anyone who is fascinated with it to go listen to his full story. But basically, he encountered one of these things under a streetlight back in like the, I think, 60s or 70s at night, and it apparently called out to him in some strange unknown language or a weak imitation of English, and he was terrified and ran away. But now he's also curious: was there something more that was not dangerous to him? But then again, there's that trickster element where they lure people to their deaths.
Yeah. I think, honestly, he did the right thing there.
Oh, absolutely.
Especially if there have been some... If their last historical mention is them being very much dickish, then... Yeah. And especially if their last great historical interaction was being flung across the entire continent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
A lot of them must not have survived, and the ones who survived must have been pissed. I have seen pictures of these. I think even D&D has these variations of this.
Yeah, I've noticed it's like the Puckwudgie has become more of a like pop culture thing, kind of like the Wendigo, but they've kind of changed and mutilated them so much from their original lore that it's kind of its own thing now.
Yeah.
They just took the name. Kind of like the Harry Potter stole the Puckwudgie name and made it something else, and
yeah,
it's like I as long as the stories kind of stay alive, that's good. But at the same time, kind of like I like kind of drilling back down into the old lore because there's a lot more interesting information than you get with some of this like kind of pop culturalized crap that we have now.
Definitely. The best kind of creatures are the ones that are relatively faithful. It's kind of why I love Dresden Files, but I despise Percy Jackson.
Ah.
That is a wrong kind of modernization, because in Dresden Files they kind of take to the modern world, but they yet keep themselves to their nature, while in Percy Jackson they literally just like, oh, now we're gonna be all Americanized in the worst way, like California type.
Mm-hmm.
What did they do to... What did they do to Apollo again? They made him a surfer dude.
No, why?
Because the dude who made the series doesn't know what to do.
Fair enough.
I kind of got fed up with it after a little while when Apollo just were like, oh, I want to hear a haiku, dude. Okay, off you go.
Here's a trash can. Go on in.
You would call it home.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, my opinions about that dude is very minus.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah.
Let's see, I'm gonna try a little something actually. Yes, actually, this might work. Because usually I just had a white background and then I did just fading out with a gray. I'm doing an extra step now by adding the white as well. So the midpoint is gray so that the whites stick out a bit more.
Oh.
I just want to see how it turns out, actually. Because, again, this series is meant to see if I can actually just flex a little bit. But yeah, do go on with the... Is there anything more with, like, the Puckwudgies?
No, well, I do remember some other stories where someone ran into one of these near a kind of like a rocky outcropping.
Okay.
and it didn't see them, but they saw it, and they were filled with this overwhelming feeling of dread.
Ooh.
And it was very much like they didn't know what to, they didn't know what it was, and they described it as like this little fur-covered man.
Huh. Well, good thing that wasn't noticed by it, because if you're dealing with like master archers who can just spawn arrows from the back of their head, that's kind of
That's
unless
a little troublesome.
yeah, unless you bring your talisman from Heckler and Koch, you're kind of shit out of luck.
Ah, yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah,
Yeah.
this is honestly, aside from the demon bear we did, I'm out of just general interest because of how it looks and what it
Hmm.
does. This is without a doubt one of my favorites so far.
Good, good. I would say just put more hair on him a bit.
Yep.
Uh,
I can make
yeah,
I can
that's
make more fur lines along the body. I think I can do that.
yeah. I think that's what he's missing.
Yes, because right now I'm just doing general like lighting. Then I do more like, as you see, I do on the hair, right? I'm gonna try and do that
Hmm.
over the body.
Oh, awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, you're just getting that musculature all drawn out. That's cool, man.
Yeah. Again, I coloring is nice, but I've just gotten such an appreciation for black and white. It might be because I grew up reading like Conan the Barbarian or like mangas later. How
Mhm.
black and white always had it's always had a special place in my heart.
Well, it's interesting because yes, color can really bring out some details, but black and white just kind of has this subtle um, ability to like kind of spark the mind.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
I think your brain adds so much more detail and depth.
Yeah, because this is the coolest thing actually. If you take a bunch of people who read a black and white comic or manga and tell them all to color this the way they imagine it, most people aren't going to have the same view. A lot of
No,
people,
no.
like especially in mangas when the anime comes out, a lot of people like, wait, that's his hair color?
Yeah, yeah. It's like, wait, but that's a completely different person than I expected to be as this character.
Yes, which is honestly kind of cool. But also, it's one of those cases where sometimes sticking with the original is the proper way. I haven't seen the movies, but the designs from Sin City movies.
Ah, yeah.
Yes. Because then they keep that, except for the blood, they let you keep that mystique, so to say.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. No, it's kind of interesting where uh, it it's a medium that kind of really engages the brain, and I think that's why early black and white movies really took off. Where I don't know if color movies would have, if they'd started in color, would have had the same effect, because in a way it's like CGI versus practical effects.
It is like if you can do CGI really well, but also if you do them together.
Yeah.
That's why if you do stark contrast, it just works well.
Yep.
Of course, it's all about how and when you place them too. It's not just use it and it's guaranteed to be good. Guaranteed to be good.
Well, so it's interesting. One of the first movies made entirely with CGI was called Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow.
Why does that sound familiar?
You've probably seen it. It had Angelina Jolie, Gwyneth Paltrow, and I can't remember the actor's name. But and he was the lead in that. But it was all CGI done.
Right. Right.
and it was like one of the first big productions where it was green screen everything.
Yes.
Well, it wasn't a big hit, as the guy who created it maybe wasn't the best storyteller in some ways,
Uh-huh.
but it was that moment where it's like, oh, this is cool, this is brand new, and then you watch it now, it's like, wow, there's some deep, serious flaws in this.
Yeah. Well, one of the
But
best.
practical effects would have wiped it out.
Yep. Uh, the best example of practical effects meeting CGI. Can you guess which one I think is the best there? It's a movie we both have seen,
Hmm.
and we reference it a lot.
Are you going to tell me that it was the Clone Wars?
No, that
Huh.
was mostly just CGI. They did have practical too, but mostly CGI.
All right, I'm drawing a blank because of my
Starship
sheer exhaustion.
Troopers.
Ah,
Yes,
yes.
a lot of the arachnids there, especially close-up shots, are actually puppets.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yeah, it is. Again, as much as I dislike the director, he deserves prop for making one of the most, well, honestly, one of the best science fiction movies ever.
You know, it's funny. I actually got into watching the spin-off, like subsequent movies and animation of Starship Troopers universe,
Yeah.
and they keep trying to like go with the Verhoeven view of things, but it's weird. The more they try to go that route, the more amazing that universe becomes, because they
Yeah,
just don't understand it.
it's failing upwards is essentially what it does. What was it called? Verhoeven? I forget his name sometimes.
Yeah.
Verhoeven failed upwards, and everyone who tries to do the same parody, like look at Helldivers, dude. I know we're kind of veering off the path, but it's Helldivers. Again, if they're trying to be a full-on parody, they're failing upwards there too. And honestly, my personal opinion, yes, Super Earth are the good guys. Why? Because they're the faction that doesn't rip humans apart.
Mm-hmm.
There's one thing I'm certain about:
Yes.
the cyborgs who became the automatons and the Terminids, regardless, even if you met them in peacetime, they still wouldn't have been peaceful.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is why I always say humanity
Yeah.
first, baby.
Absolutely. Yep. It's like, yeah, it's this weird thing where the thing that they're trying to parody, they suddenly make more interesting than it really should be.
Yeah, it's why their villains always are the most interesting characters than the heroes. The heroes tend to be just insufferable or boring. Villains, on the other hand, they tend to be done really well to the point where you, while you not sympathize with them all the time, you understand them.
Yeah.
And for someone who are so afraid of like, oh no, the villains cannot be sympathetic, and you make them understandable, like what they want to be an actual villain, right? This is not the wicked bullcrap or something like that, where they, oh, it's a misunderstood, he's an oppressed or she's oppressed or whatever. Like genuine villains, whenever they make one of those, he's always one you understand, you empathize with him, not sympathize, but like, yeah, I get you, I see where you come from, dude. I
Yeah.
get you.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, you know, it's that weird thing where they're so fascinated by evil in the way they make things. They don't understand what they're doing. And when they're trying to say, oh, well, this is evil, they've got such a thin understanding that, you know, they just can't do it right. And it's either comically bad or too sympathetic.
Right.
But, you know, like a great villain, like Iago from Shakespeare's works, Othello, he's actually an interestingly sympathetic character, but you know he's up to no good.
Yes. Or like Loki in the beginning, they went the wrong way there because he's an asshole, right? That's how we
Mm-hmm.
started off with. But Loki always have, at least when I looked at the myth, Loki is one of those beings who has innate evil in him. He was
Yeah.
meant to be evil because it is in him. As the myths progress, as the story of Norse mythology progresses, Loki just becomes more and more in tune with his nature. I mean, the greatest proof that Loki is just innately evil, look at his children. Two of them are world enders, and
Hmm.
the other is half dead.
Hmm.
Yeah, of course he did mate with the most evil and conniving creature and essentially most hateful creature in Old Norse mythology, Angerboda. If you're wondering who
Okay.
Angerboda is, if you're looking at the which you shouldn't though, if you're looking at the game God of War Ragnarok, it's that little black girl that Kratos' son starts getting all friendly with. Now,
Ah.
Now the funny thing is, in a lot of myths, she is Angerboda is honestly one of the ugliest and most horrible creatures in all of Norse mythology.
Huh.
So it's a mix of both Loki's nature mixed with Angerboda's cruelty that creates the three most powerful and destructive creatures in all of Norse mythology. What did they mean by this? By turning her black? What? Getting a bit too spicy here. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah,
Let's see. Yeah, so there's a little bit more of the stripies.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, looking good.
Yes. If I can do the same with the black hair, or maybe black is it gray? Come on. Just
But yeah, so the Puckwudgies, interestingly enough, it's like they really fit into a lot of paradigms
yeah,
that
they do.
really fit into kind of like, pretty much every like, major useful culture.
Yeah. Every culture survived. I don't know if Chinese have one, but it's bound to have something similar.
Yep.
Though their symbolism is also like they do use animals a lot. So they use spiders, they use scorpions, and all that. And the hierarchy in their mythological creatures, it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Same with the Japanese too. The snakes are always these massive creatures. Spiders, they are these conniving, malicious beings who can transform into humans, like Tsuchi Gumo or Yorogumo or something.
Hmm.
Spiders that turns into women, very attractive
Ah.
women, and they lure people, and they either marry you and you're happy, but every woman who gets close to you get brutally murdered because they're jealous, or as in most cases, they eat you.
This sounds like a basic problem.
Yeah, he definitely would be in an area where the Yorogumo or the Tsuchigumo would be. Have fun with that, Bezic. You're on your own.
Bye.
Don't stick your dick in crazy.
Yeah. And watch out for those spider eggs.
Yep. I wonder what he's going to comment on this video.
The insert the random insert's going to be wild.
Yeah, he does. He does sometimes. Maybe it's just gonna be Shelob in a bikini or some shit.
It probably will be.
Oh, he wouldn't be wrong. I mean, Shelob in the game Shadow of War, she's nice. Let's see. There you go. Yeah, see what I intended with this.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, you don't see it stick out too much. I managed to blend it in relatively decently.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool, man.
Aha! I have plans. Plans work sometimes.
Don't get
And
ahead
I
of yourself.
I didn't even have to start a war with a massive bunch of creatures or small creatures. Let's see. So
You
where would we?
know,
Wow. Okay. Let's not get too ahead of ourselves. Hiding plans. So where would you say these creatures like to hang out before they were forcefully relocated?
yeah, well, they were typically in the Massachusetts area, so
Oh,
kind of like in the woods and whatnot. So,
yeah. So hanging by a tree would be pretty standard for these.
yes,
Not on, as I assume.
correct, yes,
Besides,
yeah.
it's easier to hide behind a bush than it is to hide on top of a tree.
I mean, or rocks because they got lots of rocks, and that's part of the lore, if I remember right, or at least one of the many stories I've heard about them, like hiding around rocks.
Well, that would make sense. Some rocks do stand beside big trees, so rock and tree beside each other. Oh, I'm gonna kill Steel. I'm a camper. I'm a camper.
They've got the cheat codes. They're gonna 360 no scope you.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, it would be interesting seeing like what was the word again? There's this video I once found where they went over different kind of creatures from different myths. And I just started thinking, it would be so cool if people started making more series about this? Like actual series where they go into it, do these small skits about how they would behave. At least I think so.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see. I'm not gonna be as detailed with the background as I was with the foreground here, because I don't want to spend too
Yeah.
far. I
Yeah.
did this thing
It's
in an hour, so
yeah. No, you did good.
thank you. Let's see. So, is there, what do you think about your favorite aspect about these creatures? Like, how favorite aspect about them, and also how would you prefer them to be? Like these pranksters or malicious, or what do you think was their
I
purpose essentially later?
later I think it was just kind of they do their own thing. Um, I think they did start out kind of as this initial yeah, helper, but kind of tricksterish nature spirit that somehow either got corrupted by people or kind of decided, kind of rebelled against the nature that was imparted upon them.
Yeah. So they had a creator god that they didn't quite
Uh,
agree with.
that Mouship that the story about him throwing them around. If I remember right, he created the Puckwudgies as well as like taught the
Oh,
Wampanogs. Yeah,
yes,
there's
I.
an element of that. Pretty
But
much, yeah.
cool.
Kind of cool, isn't it?
Yeah, huh. That is honestly like having it's like the people actually going up and trying to kill Odin.
Yeah. It's again, it's very similar to elements of Norse mythology.
Yeah. Let's see. Now, if I do this right, which is a 50-50 chance.
Hmm. Sorry, I'm
Um,
trying to preserve my voice a little bit here right now.
yeah, Bleach has been a busy boy in the weekend.
Yeah, shouting at people and making them do things.
Yeah. You should have heard him yesterday. If we'd done Simply Sketchy yesterday, it would have sounded like a completely different person.
it would have probably sounded like somebody with emphysema was talking to Trim right now.
What is emphysema? Probably has a different
You know,
name.
when like people smoke a lot of cigarettes and they get that real raspy voice.
Yeah, you had a little bit of that one. Oh, that hurts.
Yeah. You should have to do it naturally.
Well, I can do that in solitaire. Oh my god, my vocal cords are turning in themselves when I do that.
Yeah, don't do that, dude.
I need warm up if I'm gonna do that for like a long period of time. There's this one.
Yeah.
On that subject, you know about Mass Effect, right?
A bit.
Yeah. There's this race called Borcha. They have this. They have a like this kind of voice, and the dude who does the voice for those is also the guy doing the voice for the male protagonist, Shepard. And he would say that whenever he did Borcha voices, like the takes for the Borcha voices, he lost his voice for a week.
I believe it.
Yeah, that was oof. Kind of cool though. One dude voices an entire race.
Yeah.
Let's see. So, yeah. Though I do like these as well. The design, what I could do with it. It's yeah. I did as much I could with what I was given, and what would you think?
Yeah, it's pretty good. I'd just say yeah, more hair, that's about the only difference.
Yeah.
But then yeah, other than that, that's fantastic, dude.
Thank you. Let's see.
Neat background too.
Huh?
That really kind of that neat background.
Thank you. It's the funny thing is that whenever you're here, I always do more background than I do in others, actually. I think Primed when I did the Vampire the Masquerade one with him. But aside from that, I think, yeah, the best background I've done so far is the Demon Bear.
Yeah.
That was fun. Let's see, can I... It's up to the viewer if there's a snow or sunlight.
Or dandruff.
Andrew, yes. Looks like, what was the name of that giant god again?
Malshup.
Yeah, Malshup didn't use the right shampoo.
Well, yeah.
They didn't use conditioner.
Exactly, and you know that whale diet is real fatty.
Yeah, there you
go.
Probably why they're so pissed off, because they got dandruff in their arrows. That's probably why it's poisonous. It's not because it's actually poisonous. It's just dandruff, and that shit lights on fire easy. And that's why they killed their creator, because you made us like this. Why, they yelled. Why? To which he responded, I am the same. Oh. Dude, if I was fucking rich, I would make that.
I mean, you can still try. Just, you know, one screen at a time.
Yeah. Man, I love mythologies, dude. Regardless of the world, there's so many interesting stories, so many interesting characters you could get. It is almost mind-blowing, dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, the most intriguing part is always how all of them respond, or the similarities, right?
Yeah, well, it's something you don't really expect until you start going down the road of, well, gee, what's this all about? And hey, why does that sound familiar? It should be completely new and alien to me. And then it's like, oh yeah, I've heard this before.
Yeah.
But in a different form, or there's like details that change. But there's always these stories that go on and on and on in human experience, and then people run into something similar in their, you know, day-to-day lives now, and it's hard to just dismiss these things.
Yeah.
Like It's easy if you want to kind of close your eyes to the world, but yeah, it's very, very interesting.
This is a real reason why people should be interested in others' cultures. It is not because you want to, oh, you're appropriate. No, go ahead, do it. It just improves it if you find the best pieces. But this is honestly the best reasons to just learn about other cultures. Find the similarities. At least for me. Some people like for other things, and hell, we're human. We do what we want.
Well, you might be, but my voice is indicating very differently.
Well, you sound like you've been smoking a bit. Or you've been drinking a lot of whiskey.
Why not both?
Oh.
I've been drinking a lot of cigarettes and smoking a lot of whiskey.
Well, there's a lot of smoke in whiskey if you do a pretty good one.
Yeah, yeah. Those eyelays.
Let's see. Of course, I did mess up something, but that is why I always have extra layers at hand.
Yep. Yeah. This is just cool.
Thank you.
I can't wait till you hit your millionth Simply Sketchy. You're raking in tens of thousands of dollars, and I can say, yes, I was there early on and rambled like a madman.
What makes you say that you're not gonna be in on the millionth one?
Don't know, but it seems like a fun thing to say.
Oh yeah. Okay. Huh. This looks okay. I kind of like this one. Looks like sort of a starry or dawning sky.
Yeah, like it. Yeah. Actually, that's the giant's bald head over the horizon.
Yes.
Taking dandruff off.
A wind blows all of it down the hill.
Yep.
Free a hill. Here comes the gust again. Fucking choking on dandruff. Oh no, here comes big head, once more dandruff.
It's instead of How White Man, it's How Selsun Blue Man, which is a dandruff shampoo in America.
Yeah. Selsun Blue. Yeah. So if you wanted it to be like a full moon or a dawn, it's up to you.
No, yeah, it's the viewer's imagination.
Yeah, which is why black and white is nice because of it, and also it's a very nice lacy system. Because I am a lazy man.
Again, I think for what you're doing, black and white's actually a much better medium.
Yes.
It allows you to draw quickly, make your changes quickly, and it's also very vivid.
Thank you. Let's see now to see if I can add a bit more fur on this thing. And no furry allegation jokes, Besic.
You say that, but
he tried really hard with the Wampus cat.
He did.
But he failed.
But he failed, mostly because I just completely ignored him.
Yeah. And he's totally not going to make a comment about this here.
Well, I mean, technically it's a fur-covered creature, but...
Yeah. Hey, one thing when it comes to shape-shifting in native mythologies, is the shape-shifting done by a piece of clothing or is it just like a spell or something? Or is it a talisman or fetish needed for it?
The answer to your question is yes.
Yes, okay.
It all really varies depending on the tribes and the various, cultural elements. Like the Algonquins might have one version where the Iroquoian peoples have a different, and the Alabaskan people have a different one. It's just It really depends.
Yeah.
And then,
Norse
with
mythology, a
the
lot of shapeshifting is done by putting on the skin of the creature you're going to turn into.
yes, there are elements of that, especially in some of the northern tribes of North America. More of the Southwest tribes, sometimes it's like more of a fetish. And in others, it's like incantation type things with grave consequences if you don't do it right, kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not an expert on the various tribal lore, but I find it fascinating because it cross pollinates with a lot of European lores as well.
Yeah. It's interesting too because people already found similarities before, like they were forced to be merged or one conquered the other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then you get like this cross pollination, like what's going on now with, say, the Wendigo, where there's the elements of the original lore and then a modernization with outside influences kind of changing things up.
Yeah.
And I think too many people they want to dismiss mythologies out of hand as just fantasy and fiction or something like that. But where do the best stories come from? And like the old, the best jokes have an element of truth in them. I think that's the reason why a lot of these stories have sticking power, is they really capture some element that is primal to human nature.
Yeah. Like every story has its hero, every story has its villain.
Yeah. And it's like the commonality of the hero's journey. Yeah, and there's a carryover in almost every major culture.
Yeah. Let's see. We're gonna do that one a little bit hard move there.
All right, I thought I was going to sneeze, but apparently it's held off.
All right. Did you know a sneeze is 20% of an orgasm? Hey-oh.
Well, let's see. I sneezed 6 times, so yeah, I'm right at orgasm levels +1 for the next.
This is YouTube. Don't get banned. Shit. There you go. All right. So I'm thinking I'm done here. Is there anything else you might want me to add or something?
No, I'm good, and my voice is starting to give out, so it's good timing.
Hell yeah. All right. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of white here. So yeah, I would like to say thank you for joining me then, Bleach, for another good one. This, again, always nice to have you aboard, because you bring in lore about things I'm always curious about, and I'm never disappointed, ever.
Well, I have fun doing it, so I thank you for inviting me along. Death rattle there.
Don't
And
die.
I think we get into more than just the lore. We get into some of the philosophy behind them.
Yep. Which is always nice, like, what might be the truer purpose, because both you and me, we're not of a... We're both kind of secure in our belief that there's more between the heaven and the earth. There is more between it. It's just that, what form does it take?
Yes, indeed.
Nature moves. But
And you'll have to excuse me, my voice is failing fast.
yeah, I am going to just cut it off there. Once again, I would like to thank you, Bleach, for joining me up on this journey once more. Hope to do more.
Absolutely.
And I also would like to once again thank Robert Renato for letting me borrow his music, so I can keep making these awesome videos, as well as making doing the streams. And of course to Besek, who's Australian techno magic, is able to keep this channel going despite my inability to do anything technological alone. It's a miracle. He's a miracle worker. Give Bessic some love and attention.
And money.
Oh yeah, he also needs money. Like, I don't care if this is like a half a year from the recording date to this release date. Bessic needs it. He still do. I know him. He still does.
He
Yeah.
could, become a millionaire overnight, but he still needs more.
Always. You can never have enough. So, with that, I would also like to thank all of you viewers who decided to take time out of your day to look upon the series of a Norwegian dude rambling with random people, this time an American, while having fun drawing, because, well, I like drawing. It's fun. It's entertaining. And this, hell, I'm learning while drawing. That's a new experience.
There you go.
Yeah.
Plus, with my voice in the way it is now, I can go full Batman. Where are they? I want to see how that sounds in post.
You kind of blew it out a little bit, but I think
Yeah, well, that's my whole voice right now.
Where are they? Rachel. I'm Batman. And yeah, so if you guys like what I do, you can buy merch down in the description down below by going to the links. And if you want to commission me for your own stuff, if you have any ideas you want me to draw, you can find my Ko-Fi as well as reach out to my Twitter and DM me there. They are open. And you can also just reach out to me on Discord if you're on the Sultan server, which should also be linked down below. And with that, I would once again like to say thank you, Blee, for joining, and have a wonderful day, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Goodbye.